everyone. Welcome to the Gospel Tea. I am your girl, Tyra Harris, here with my wonderful friend.
I am Standra Booker.
Yes, we're so happy to be back with you. Welcome to March. Standra, it's Women's History Month this month.
Yes.
Just came out of Black History Month. I love these months of recognition. But kicking us off, tell us first, real quick, what are you sipping on?
Well, what I'm sipping on in my wonderful new mug, it says, "May He give you the desires of your heart." Right? May and make all your plans succeed out of Psalms 24. Wonderful mug. I am sipping on lots of things. It's springtime. It's Women's History Month. As you said, we just came out of Black History Month. So, definitely a lot of reflection as we venture into this new season. I am looking forward to some warm weather. We just recently got through with Snowmageddon here in Texas, and
You
the
made it.
weather didn't try to kill us. The state was trying its best, but we made it. Praise God. So that's what I'm sipping on. Just looking forward to what
Mm-hmm.
March has in store.
Me too. I always get excited about the spring. I do think that the fall is my favorite season, but I like the spring. It's got new energy. You get revving again. You get defrosted, depending on where you
Mhm.
are. It's a little bit different here, of course, me now being in Florida, but you know. So I wanted us to talk a little bit on this episode about Women's History Month. We are two women. We've been women for some time now, right?
All my life.
Right. And so, you know, my even with my job, we've been doing more work with really creating activities and meaningful engagement around special emphasis months, right? And how do you elevate and build awareness around contributions of people that may not look like you, that may have a different experience, life experience than you? And so when you think about women, you know, as I was kind of reading some different articles, you know, you get hit in your email. Welcome to Women's History Month. Let's think about this woman and contributions and suffrage and voting and all these wonderful things that women have done and have accomplished, all of our contributions. And I said, I don't know if I really ever thought about it as deeply as I'm thinking about women and
Mhm.
being a woman in our society today. And I said, well, what, you know, why is that, right? And I feel like for me, you know, in your 20s, in my 20s, I was really still just trying to figure out identity, just as a human being, probably, and it was all kind of put together my identity as a Black person,
Right.
a female person, a Christian person, because
Right.
I, you know, had given my life to the Lord. And I think it was just all jumbled at the point. I'm just trying to find out like what, you know, where am I situated? You know, who am I? What am I here for? That kind of, I was still kind of had those big questions over my head, you
Right.
know. And I think in 30s, you were being woman. You were being hit with glass ceilings that you
Right.
heard about, right? You
Mhm.
were being, because you were trying to, I was trying to build a career. I was trying to keep, you know, going in my education. And I didn't know that in my pursuits, right? I'm experiencing things that women who have come before me have, you know, fought for and advocated against, maybe, or for, depending on the topic. And I didn't know that, you know, I was actually adding to the statistic. More women get
Right.
more higher degrees, but we're still less paid. You know, I
Right.
just was trying to get the degree. I was just
Right.
trying to get the check. And so
Mhm.
I feel like now, as we enter into a new decade of life, we're both in our early 40s, and we're doing some new things in our early 40s, right? We're paving some paths that we've never embarked upon, which we'll talk about in a second. But I wanted to pose that question to you. You know, what does it mean as a Black woman in America in your 40s celebrating womanhood now? What's the significance of it for you?
It's definitely an interesting topic. So, as you were talking, I was thinking about as you took us through the decades, right? We're babies of the 70s. And so our births were fresh out of and even during a really strong civil rights movement, the rights of African Americans. And so we were raised as Black children, period. We were raised as Black people. And so that's why I think there was this heavy emphasis on our Blackness, right? A sense of Black pride, a sense of Black accomplishments. So as we moved through life, every accomplishment we made, every move we made was as a Black person. There was not a big emphasis on femininity, womanhood. It was just, you're a Black person. I need you to excel. I need you to be the race, make the race proud, right? So even as we pursued our doctorates, right, we weren't doing it as a part of our womanhood. We were doing it as a part of our Blackness, right? We wanted to make our race proud. I think here over the past few years is when we've seen this kind of this the rise of the woman, the recognition of the woman. People are paying attention to women now, and so that's why we can now identify with it. Of course, we always knew we were women, but that wasn't our badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
It was just part of our package. So for me, now that we are paying attention to what it means to be a woman, what do women bring to the table? As we see, those prominent figures like Michelle Obama, and y'all know how I feel about Michelle LaVaughn Robinson Obama,
Yes.
but also, a Stacey Abrams, a Kamala Harris, like as these women who also are Black, but are women who are leading, who are in the forefront of change,
Mm-hmm.
of innovation, of just grace. And we
Yeah.
see a reflection of our deeper selves. We not only see a Black person, we see a Black woman. That has given us permission, as it talks about in Marianne Williamson's poem, right? It gives us permission to do the same thing. We can also stand in our womanhood and
Mm-hmm.
proclaim what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're great, what we bring to the table, how we make our families better. We've known forever that women are the stronghold of the family. We're the backbone. We keep this thing going, whether we get recognized for it or not. But it's because we're women. It's because of what God has given us and equipped us with that allows us to do 10 different things at one time. So for me, I'm learning to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to, it's not just about the fact that I'm Black and I'm proud and I'm excellent. It's also, I'm a woman. And because I'm a woman, I'm bringing greatness to the table as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That everything you said is so I love it and it resonates with me. And I just see the truth in it, through my own lived experience. And it just brought a couple of thoughts for me in that, yeah, you're right. It was like, be proud, make us proud,
Right.
make us proud. You're Black.
Right.
Do it for the Blackness, right? Kind of thing. But you're right. I feel like as we, moving into our 40s, we've become mothers. We've become, we've had different pursuits, and I think that changes so much. That colors so much. We've seen women lead in so many magnificent ways, like the women that you've mentioned. And then I think back too on just the women that we grew up around, right?
Absolutely.
Like I have a newfound appreciation
Absolutely.
for the Dorses, for the Aunt Annie Ruths, for the women. So I can think about my aunts. And I remember, I think, maybe 10, 20 years ago, I did think about them. I thought about whose shoulders I stand on. And I thought about their sacrifices. I saw them cultivate life, like they in within their wombs,
Right.
the way that they raised their children, the
Right.
way that they sowed seeds, how they they were helpmeets to their husbands, and they were just such examples to me that I came to deeply appreciate as I started to walk in areas of those, of the in areas of life that I
Right.
saw them excel in, right?
Right.
So it's like I saw them as wives. I just saw great relationships between my
Mhm.
aunts and but now I'm like, oh, that was meekness she
Right.
was
Right.
displaying. Oh, that was wisdom when she told him this and she didn't say that, but she did
Right.
this for him and she didn't do that to him.
Right.
Right? Like now I'm piecing and weaving all together their strength,
Right.
their beauty,
Mhm.
and their fortitude, because you
Absolutely.
got all of that coming from a woman but they came through the 40s, they came through the 50s, they
Right.
came through, they weren't on the back end of civil rights,
Right.
right? So they were still, we were still such a lower class
Hmm.
because we were Black, and also because we were women.
Right.
And so just to see their strength and their beauty and prevail is just incredible. And it's a newfound appreciation and respect now, I think, more so
Absolutely.
than, when you're growing up.
Oh, absolutely. I think, kind of like you just mentioned though, as you look at those women who are close to you, now that we're in our 40s and we look back, absolutely the strength that they equipped us with, the examples that we got to see daily. And
Hmm.
I don't believe that they had the certainly not the PR tool that we have now as far as women's history and things like that. So they didn't necessarily have that language to state that I'm doing this, I'm operating like this because I'm a woman. But absolutely, my mother was my first example and is still my best example of the strength of a woman, the strength of a mother, how you move, how you get it done, how you innovate, how you figure it out when there is no other way. So absolutely, like I said, I just think it's high time. It's about time that we have these conversations, that we get this recognition. Not enough women who are, because we're naturally behind the scenes type of people, right?
Hmm.
So we don't get a lot of recognition for holding our families together, for holding this country together, for holding this world together, for holding civilizations together.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, so
Hmm. For holding the gospel of Jesus Christ together, if I could be so bold and audacious. But
hey, hey,
that's the scriptures. A woman at the birth, birthing our
right,
Christ into
right,
this world, right? A woman at the cross, you know, tending to his wounds, a
right,
woman at his resurrection,
right.
a woman
A
at
woman
the
carrying the
well,
word back about his resurrection, right?
right?
Had a woman not been there,
Yeah,
somebody else, Thomas and them might have just been sitting there staring, like I'm not sure. What
right.
do we do with this? I don't believe it, but
The
absolutely,
truth. Through the church, the women at teaching, the kids in the Sunday school, cooking in the fellowship hall, whatever it was,
absolutely,
we've been there. And I think that's the beauty of women, that, we see, and, we have, we're just so honored to be a part of.
absolutely.
So with that, I think, I wanted to ask another question. So we have a saying at our church. Our women's ministry was rebranded maybe a year or so ago, and it was like, we want to be world changing women. And of course, we want to change the world after the likeness of Jesus Christ. He took 12, he changed this world unforgettably so, right? Powerfully so. And it's like, how are we being world changing women? And I was like, when they changed and rebranded, I was like, I love that. That sounds great. But then every time I have to turn that into an introspective question for myself, are you a world changing woman?
Hmm.
Yeah. And so one thing that helps me, one of the leads of our women's ministry said something a few years ago that just really stuck with me. And she was like, bloom where you're planted. And that's how you change your
Absolutely,
corner of the
absolutely,
world, and you are a world changing woman.
right,
Just bloom where you're planted.
right,
And so, I see you, and I'm so proud of you because I believe you're doing that, and your newest pursuits. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. Like, you are being a world changing woman right there in the great state of Texas, the fantastic city of DeSoto.
Soto, shout them out. So yeah, so what you just said though about bloom where you're planted is absolutely true, and it's actually kind of, it goes back to the ministry question, right? Where's your ministry? Your ministry is where you are in that moment, right? You don't wait to have a mega church and thousands of people before you have a ministry. Your ministry is right there in your home, starts at home, and you go from there. So what I am doing is blooming where I'm planted. I am planted here in the great city of DeSoto, Texas, and I am going to run for school board. This is definitely a walk of faith. I am conjuring up the faith of my ancestors, of all the women before me who dreamed of greatness, whether they knew my name or knew I would be here or not. I know that they wanted the best for their lineage. And so I am here running for school board. The campaign is moving. We have about 56 at this point in time, 56 days until May 1st, election day. And so we're just praying that God get the glory through this whole thing. It's definitely an eye-opening experience. As I stated before, some of my role models, the Stacey Abrams, the Kamala Harrises, the Fannie Lou Hamers,
Right.
all of these people, Barbara Jordan, Stacey, Shirley Chisholm, everybody
Mm-hmm.
that has paved a path in politics. I've always had an affinity for their fortitude, their strength, the things that they've had to put up with that they couldn't talk about. And I'm seeing glimpses of this now. And so, yes, definitely paying homage to all of those wonderful women that have sparked this interest in me. My desire is to make the world a better place, starting right here in my school district, the school district where my children attend. And so, that's how I intend to change the world. I intend to start right here in DeSoto.
That's so awesome. I'm so proud of you. I remember when you kind of brought the idea to me that it was something God placed on your heart. And, you know, I immediately, I thought to myself, like, she can do it, because you do so many things. But I was nervous about what would be required.
Hmm.
And I think it goes back to, and I think that was even a reflection of sometimes when we don't know the strength that's in us as women,
Hmm. Absolutely.
we don't know how, when, like, God called us to be helpmeets, but God has put so much in us,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like, that wasn't a secondary or
Right.
tertiary kind of
Right.
role. Like, He empowered us to make differences, not even on our lives, but for the lives of our children, our family, and just even abroad. And so I see that in you, and I see how He's really, His hand is in this campaign. It's all over your life. I'm so excited. And like you said, you've been able to do it with such excellence. And you've kept up everything else. Like, that's the thing, that's the miraculous part, right?
Miraculous part.
You're
Yeah.
still schooling three children. You are still a wife. You are still working full time. You are still the household manager. You are still, and everyone's eating, and the house is still, the
Right.
bills are being paid. Like, nothing has dropped. And you've been able to just pour yourself in. And I think that that's so remarkable. And I just kind of honor you with that effort. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. God is awesome. God is amazing. God will put you in positions to completely trust in Him. And so
Mhm.
that's what we are doing. When I say I am not a politician, I am not. And there's some refining going on. As I told my pastor, I realize what God is doing actually has nothing to do with this election. It's just some stuff He's trying to work out in me. And so to God be the glory for all that He has done. And we will let you guys know over the course of time how this thing is going. Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. But I'm not the only one with exciting things to share,
Yeah.
right? Because it's Women's History Month, because we're always looking and moving and shaking and changing and developing, our
Mhm.
dear friend Tyra has also embarked on a new adventure, or two, I should say. Uh, Tyra, and I'm just going to tell the people this just to be transparent so they know we real deal. We talk almost every day. And
Mhm.
so we've had discussions about audacious dreams, being an audacious dreamer.
Mhm.
Um, and so I want you to talk about the great things you have coming, but I also want you to frame it in the sense that you have some audacious dreams and goals for yourself and for your family. And so I want you to always know that just by waking up every single day and deciding to keep going with what God has for you, that's an audacious dream. That's a dream that not a lot of people will embark on. And so always know that your dreams matter. They are audacious. They deserve to be as big as they can, as you can make them, because
Amen.
watch God blow your mind.
Yeah.
So tell the people what you got going on.
Yes, to the good our good friends. So I have the privilege and honor of being a mommy to a new baby that's coming. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm excited. You guys know that I have a daughter and she's 2.5 now, and she is my joy. She is just my air. And so we're excited. We are pregnant again.
I
I'm
was gonna say,
pregnant.
because you gotta say you're pregnant. You can't just say a new baby coming,
Oh,
like a
that's
baby done packed his bag from.
because they're like, right, where the baby coming from? When the
Right.
baby gonna get there? So I'm pregnant again. We're in the second trimester of this thing, and what makes this so special and exciting, and also, just a little bit makes me a little nervous too, just in all honest and transparency, when when God calls you and he blesses you. And it was truly a blessing, because I wanted Asha to grow up with a sibling in age, so she would have someone to kind of just experience life and do life with. But if many of you may know, I'm an older mom, right? Like, and so I've entered into this group of women, right, that are looked upon in different ways. Crazy from some, like, what you doing, having kids now, or just this kind of unicorn group, I think, because we are very much different than the steps that society would set out for a woman. I got married later in life. That's just how it happened for
Yeah.
me. Not like, you know what I mean? So I got married in my late 30s, and now I'm in my early 40s, and kind of starting and embarking on motherhood.
Mhm.
And so I was telling somebody at church, I'm like a real life Sarah. This is my Sarah story, but it's just such an honor. And I think that, I get to shape and cultivate two lives, to, you know, introduce them to the Lord, to give them a foundation in him, and
Absolutely.
to introduce them to faith, and in a way that I wasn't growing up, right? And I think one of the things that I'm so blessed by, because at this station in life, I feel like the Lord has done some things. I might have a measure of greater patience. I have a way to think about things, like the things I'm intentional with what I want to instill, with
Yeah.
my children, and I kind of have different priorities that I might not have had, early 20s or so. So it's a journey. I'm excited about it. I think that it also gives me that recognition, and again a newfound appreciation and respect for women who said, we don't have to choose. You can go to the highest
Right.
level of your career. You can
Right.
earn the highest degree, and you can have a family and raise
Right.
children.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like all of those things take time. You don't build a career in 3 years. You don't build, you don't earn a PhD in a year. So all of those times and all of those accomplishments that you're able to, you don't have to choose
Right.
out. You don't have to swap out. If I do this one, I can't do that one. But if I do that one, and that's what God is showing me, just the breadth of opportunities that he's given us in our lives. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. And the thing about God, of course, is that his time is not our time. We get hung up on time and age. And so if this were a Sarah story, then we certainly know that time is no issue for
Yeah.
God. So yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I am excited. COVID and all the crazy, and I'm trying to get my flight game back up
Yeah.
so I can make these trips. Because we want new baby to feel just as loved as Asha, so I got to try to figure out my flight situation, make sure I'm able to, be in that space. But yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting. Kind of like we talked about before, like what more womanly, experience could there be than to give birth to a child. And so I am definitely excited to see all that God has planned for you, for your family, to see you continue to grow, right? You had the one baby, you thought, oh, okay, I've learned. Now it's the test, right? So now you get this. How'd you do the first time? We're gonna do it the second time and see how it comes out. But yeah, so it's gonna be awesome, wonderful adventures in store. And
Yes,
so yeah, yeah,
very cool.
yes,
So,
very
what do you
cool.
think? What's our takeaway for everyone today, Sandra?
Well, so we're acknowledging women. We want to make sure to always pay homage to those who have paved the way. And so that can be on the grand, celebrity scale, or even just, within your own family, your friendships. And so just always acknowledging what we bring to the table, what we brought to the table thus far, and what we can continue to contribute to make the world a better place, right? How are we changing the world? And so we just always want to just be reflective on that
Yeah.
and acknowledging that in one another, right? When you see somebody making moves, right? We don't have to move in jealousy. We can just move in admiration. I see you. I
Mhm.
see what you're doing. That is awesome, because they're opening the door that your daughter may walk through one day,
Right, right.
right? They,
Yeah.
so these things we can't take them for granted, but we need to recognize greatness.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And so I think, for me, I love what you said, just recognizing it. And I would just add to that, celebrating it. I heard a phrase, I think from our sisters over at Girl Trek. It was like, slow clap somebody. Like, yes,
Yes,
you doing that thing, right? Like
absolutely.
that, just really acknowledging with a heart of gratitude and seeing greatness in another woman and encouraging them in that. And I think for me, one of the takeaways for the women that are listening, ask yourself, how are you blooming where you're planted?
Hmm.
What are you doing? Write it down, because sis, you might be doing some things and you're not giving. You don't even see the greatness in that. You show up for your kids, especially I'm understanding if you a mom of multiple, Standard understands this. I will, right? You a mom of multiples and you show up and they like
Right,
had 3 meals,
right.
slow clap that thing
Nobody
out.
got lost today. Yeah,
How
and
about
that's
you
a
got them
thing.
all? Right?
That's a thing. I do head counts.
Everybody accounted for? Nobody's bleeding.
I
You
mean,
and your
even if there is, there might be a little blood, but it's okay.
but they're okay. There's breathing. There's
Right,
breathing.
right.
You and your husband, y'all not like, two armies in a militia fighting, y'all talking, sharing an ice cream cone,
Yeah,
slow clap that.
slow
That's
clap
good
that.
stuff,
Hmm.
you know? And so think about how you're blooming, write it down. And sometimes it's just a matter of acknowledging yourself and the great things that you're accomplishing. And then it's a stretch goal, like, Lord, how do you want me to bloom? What seeds have you put in me? Because sometimes there's some seeds that are sitting there.
Yeah,
We could talk about that later. That he like, hey, I gave you a whole bunch of fruit. You got apples going, but I put some pears and some peaches. And where are those pears and peaches? And like
right.
asking the Lord to show you, those seeds of greatness that He's planted in you and that He wants you to use to bless someone else. So
Absolutely.
that would be my call to action or takeaway. And we just love you guys. Thanks for being with us today.
Yes, yes. Go out and bloom where you're planted, guys. And we will see you next time.
All right. Take care, everybody.